Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, and very good day. Dr. Karin, Dr. Aswami, thank you very much for joining in today. Let's talk about cyber threats we presently see and seek your views on how organizations should be addressing this. Before I do that, I just like to give a bit of a preamble, right? Digital transformation is not an option for organizations to stay relevant and succeed in this new world. And democratized digital technologies are really driving this fourth industrial revolution, this mashup of social, mobile, Internet of Things, data, cloud, and artificial intelligence enabled by the internet is actually driving these transformations that we see today. While the internet is an enabler for these democratized digital technologies, the benefits comes with threats. With more connected business organizations, this creates opportunities for cyber adversaries, that is, cyber criminals, cyber opportunities, nation-state actors, etc. While nation-state actors invest billions of dollars and thousands of world-class engineers like Dr. Aswami, right, to do sophisticated attacks to nations, to other nations for strategic reasons. The problem is that once these attacks are in the wild, it can be reused by the cyber criminals to amplify the negative socio-economic impacts. Cyber attacks have really become sophisticated. Phishing, a popular initial access strategy by cyber threat actors. We know that a quarter of us will actually click on a phishing link, and half of those will do it within the hour. This is how easy and very fast how these cyber actors can get into your network. And once they're in your network, they will stay there for an average 100 days, right? And IBM even estimates it's up to 7 months. And you can imagine with that length of time they are being in our networks, the damage that they can do. In fact, we see that in Malaysia itself, large organizations, have to suffer up to 20 million USD loss per breach, right? And globally, we are looking at 10 trillion losses per year by 2025. So cybersecurity has become a business issue, and business depends on the internet. So it also introduces this significant business risk, and hence the importance of cyber resilience in this new world. Then came COVID-19, right? Where what we expected, the digital transformation that we expected to happen in 2 years, happened in just 2 months. While many has embraced this modern workplace flexibility or work from home for the purpose of business continuity, they probably did not have enough time to properly secure it. So the question to both of you, Dr. Aswami and Dr. Karin, what are the potential security issues or challenges associated with modern workplace flexibility? So I'll start with you, Dr. Karin. Over to you.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Zaha. And very, I would say, good setting up of stage of the discussion for today. So yeah, as what Dr. Zaha have mentioned earlier on, what happened last year from COVID-19, rather than people embarking to digitalization, be it businesses or end users, people are actually thrust into that platform, whether you like it or not, be it from the business point of view, be it from the employee point of view. So the problem is not everyone is ready. When you are preparing yourselves and you're preparing the organization towards it, there are steps and there are policies that have to be in place. But when you're put in a situation where this is not an option, this is about survival, be it for the business, be it for the organization, and even as an employee. So that comes the challenges, that comes the potential. Not every devices that is with the employee or with the organization is properly equipped for cyber threats, for in terms of protections, be it infrastructures and everything. And there's also a lot of system that they use in the organizations. Now they have to move into cloud services. How do they evaluate what are the resources they have? How capable are the people in handling the new system? So these are the things that is, as what Dr. Zaha said, things that should be planned in 2 years, now you do it in 2 months. It's not an option. You have to do it in 2 months. So that is when there's a lot of people are scrambling, be organization. You have to find resources for this sort of systems. And you have your employees that has been thrust into uncertainties without the proper skills and without the proper knowledge. So this is when the problem comes in. Because as you know, in Malaysia, we are made up of over 90% of SMEs. Not every organization is ready, and not everyone has the resources. And for business, in terms of survival, it's no longer about retail business. They actually have to look into online business. That is for survival. I think that is the biggest issue that, and challenges that we see for digitalization. I would say more like a forced digitalization for everyone. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Karin. So, Dr. Aswami, just for your benefit, I'll just repeat the question. What are the potential security issues or challenges associated with modern workplace flexibility? Dr. Aswami?
Thank you, Dr. Zaha, for the question. I think the security issues or challenges they are getting bigger by the day. Even though we are adopting fourth IR, with all those new technologies, we are facing a lot of different kind of cases. Since year 2000 until now, we can see that in terms of the technicalities, is getting more complicated. So I would like to make reference to the MITRE ATT&CK framework, whereby human is the weakest link. As you can see, the first one is information gathering, is basically intelligence. Just whether the attackers would like to target to someone, they can get all those information as much as possible. Then they crafted the malicious software attached to the email as a spam or spear phishing, so that the victim it clicks the attachment, then the infections begins, and everything up until exfiltration of data, whereby we categorize as a data breach. So from there onwards, the crown jewel, the PII information, personal identifier information, there you are. The attackers, they have all information that they have. Is whether they want to encrypt it through ransomware, then they try to ransom you. You have to provide some kind of monetary, because their motivation is in terms of financial. So the attack surface is getting bigger, thank or to COVID in certain ways, even though the cases increases in terms of people infection, but due to COVID, the understanding of the challenges and other things, the government is pushing forward the fourth IR adoption, digital transformation, and other things. For example, like my digital blueprint, and also Malaysian cybersecurity strategy, because the government understands the attack surface is getting widened, is getting bigger. So that's why the concept of zero trust, we have to put forth the security controls, anywhere, due to bring your own device, convergence of mobile devices and whatnot. You can work from home, you can work from anywhere. Most probably not in Starbucks, because most probably there would be attacker there. And again, to cover everything, I think the standard operating procedure is very important, so that you understand the risk. Because the people, the tendency, when it relates back to the human as the weakest link, you tighten your belt, you tighten everything, you put a very good process in hand, and also the technology to be able to assist your employee, if they need to work from home. So you provide all those security controls, for example, like virtual private network, so that they are being secured. So we have many categories of attacks, nation state, victims, data breaches, and I think at Cybersecurity Malaysia, data breaches is quite alarming in terms of incidences or cases that being received by us, and hopefully through SOP we will be able to mitigate the risk with regard to security issues and challenges in the future and also currently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aswami. So I guess, standards and standard procedures and compliance is important as a baseline. But I think what you're trying to say is that, it cannot be static, right? So it forms a baseline, but then you need to constantly evolve based on the threats that you see and the evolution of your network and your organizations and so on, right?
Yes.
And I think the challenge here is some organizations look at compliance, whether it's ISO 27001, just a tick in the checkbox, right? Rather than a baseline that they should grow upon and adopt the best practices that's available out there.
Yep.
Thank you very much
Yep.
for that. So the fourth question I'd like to offer to Dr. Karin. How can we determine if cybersecurity strategy is effectively addressing the business risk? Over to you, Dr. Karin.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, there is no such thing as zero risk, be it in cybersecurity and be it in business, right? So I think that is point number one. Okay, so there is no zero risk, all right? So what we can do is mitigating the risk, right? So how do we identify where our potential threats areas are, be it in the business angle and also be in terms of technicality. We look into our vulnerability point, look into what is our risk appetite, what are the controls that we can put in place. And then, as we mentioned earlier on, even when we have the certification of ISO 2001, it's good that we can sleep for the day, but that doesn't mean that new threats are not coming in, because there's a way of new things of doing things, all right? And then, so that's something that in cybersecurity field, it's a new day every day, because there are always new threats that we have to face and so forth. And in terms of risk, of course, in cybersecurity, we look into data breaches, we look into potential of ransomware, phishing, and so forth. In terms of business, one of the biggest risks is reputation damages that we have to look at. Because not only when you achieve for business continuity, you can actually be back in business, but the damage in terms of the business reputation and the the trust to the company have been damaged. That will actually take a long time to build. So this is when the goodwill come into picture. So this is why cybersecurity and business ties in together, because when any business been attacked, the trust will be gone, and the goodwill will actually have been built all over again. So as mentioned earlier on, there is no zero risk in cybersecurity and in business. So both are the same. We have to look into the risk assessment for the company or the organization. What is the risk appetite? Where is our red? Where's our orange? Where's our green? And what are the controls that we have to put in place? And ever revolving and look into what are the risks out there for today. All right. So, yep.
Thank you very much, Dr. Karen. That's really a good advice, because, in reality, actually, we have to have this, there's always a risk, right? Especially with this nation state actors, where they can spend billions. If they want to get you, they will get you. But I guess a good starting point is that you should not be the lowest hanging fruit for the cyber attackers, right?
Yes,
Yeah, because if
correct.
you're the whole lowest hanging fruit, you don't put firewalls, you don't put ideas and so on. Obviously, you are the open
Easy
door
target.
come in, right? So, but then we put that in place so that we are not the lowest hanging fruit, and we strengthen further, right? In fact, analysts are of the opinion that 80% of data breaches can be prevented with very basic actions like vulnerability assessment, patching, and avoiding poor configurations. So that's why we talked just now. Dr. Aswini highlighted the good adoption of good governance audits that is based on global best practices and so on and so forth, right? So it's actually quite practical if you do it so that we do not become that lowest hanging fruit. So I think and this fifth question I like probably to offer to both of you, right? How can companies become more predictive in combating and preventing cyber attacks instead of just simply reacting, right? Because cyber attacks are so fast these days, right? So do you think AI and automation are these just hype or crucial tools in terms of ensuring security? Maybe Dr. Aswami, I can start if you see you're such a techie guy, yeah?
Okay. Thank you again. AI is my first interest at the moment. Just to share a bit of my experience. I'm leading the cybersecurity responsive services at Cybersecurity Malaysia. So in terms of reacting, we have been there, through forensics and it comes a time whereby we have to strengthen I put it into intelligence, AI kind of intelligence rather than intelligence in relation to the law enforcement agencies, but more on AI thingy of a thing. Of course we have the traditional or conventional security appliances, for example, like SIM, XDR, endpoint sensors, and other things, whereby an analyst, security analyst, they really need those technologies because in terms of attacks, it's sophisticated and that is in bulk. Too many, the attacks per day. They have to analyze the logs and other things, constant monitoring. So through the intelligence, it's just to assist them in terms of to identify some kind of attribution, threat attribution. Where does it come from? This kind of threat, as simple as spam. Where does this spam came from? Most probably from the certain syndicate or some kind of attribution, so that they will be able to put some kind of defense. So at the threat intelligence department or cyber threat intelligence department, again thanks to Microsoft for sharing some kind of data with us, so that we will be able to identify certain states in Malaysia, whereby we can do some kind of preemptive rather than reactive kind of thing, in a responsive kind of environment. Cert and forensics, they are always there. They are very important. So how do we be more proactive in a responsive realm, not in terms of auditing or providing standard, but in terms of intervention or quote and unquote preemptive. We collect a lot of data, large data, apart from Microsoft data that is being provided to cybersecurity Malaysia. So we go to the level of machine learning, because AI is quite broad in a way. So we did some clustering, to identify which organization, which IP or ISP is being truly infected, so that we be able to ring our counterpart, saying that something happening in your infrastructure or environment. So we pursue again in terms of supervised classification, detection, and the best thing, just to share with the audience, in terms of deep learning. So deep learning is just programming your brain to be in the computer with respect to security, and then all those information can be turned to some kind of knowledge or intelligence. Then we provide to critical national information infrastructure to other stakeholders, so that they would be able to understand. And just to conclude my articulation of AI, and in terms of incidences and also cases, can be lowered by 20 to 25%. If you have AI, technologies within your services. Thank you, Dr. Zah. Back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Aswami. Dr. Karen, for your benefit, I'll just repeat the questions. How
Yeah.
can companies become more predictive in combating and preventing cyber attacks instead of simply reacting to them? AI
Um,
and automation are these just hype or they're crucial tools? So, Dr.
okay.
Karen, your opinions.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zaha. And a very big thank you to Dr. Azwami. I think he covered everything. so,
That's
so
okay. I'm
yeah.
sure there's more.
So the good thing about AI is that, of course, with Sims and everything, it's I would say it's not really a hype word. I think when it actually works and it's doing a lot of work for us. So actually, AI is very good for in terms of monitoring SOCs and everything, and also it helps us in terms of doing repeatable stuff that is very mundane, very tiring, and that actually need a lot of skills and also staff to look into logs and everything to detect anomalies and all these things. So this actually helps us in terms of answering one of the biggest issue in cybersecurity, which is talent, right? So actually, with the use of more AI in terms of the organizations in our SOCs and everything, actually, it actually cuts down a lot of our um, problem in terms of getting the right people doing the right job, building up the right skills and everything. So actually, these are the parts that is being repeatable mundane tasks, analyzing logs, data, anomalies and everything. So these actually can be automated using AI. So, and then this is when it actually, this is when as an organization or as a CISO, we have to look into where the threshold that we want to look at, what's our risk appetite for the organization, which is the part that when the alert will come into, this is the part that you need to make informed decision. This is what we're detecting. So what is the next point of action and so forth. So in terms of organization, be it MNC or big companies, so this is the things that as we mentioned earlier on from past year, a lot of companies been thrust into the digital platform, being cloud services, being in terms of work from home and everything. So this is when having the right cybersecurity talent and skills is not easy. It's not something that you just hire and the guy would be able to solve all your problem, right? So this
Yes.
is when AI come into the picture, in terms of handling and mitigating some of our cyber risks for the organization. So, and this actually also help in terms of detecting earlier in terms of any potential vulnerability and attacks and so forth, and also to look into trends. So when we look into data actually that makes sense. So actually makes open out a trend that whether it's going to be a APT for organizations and so forth. So this is when we actually be able to proactively handle the cyber threats. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Karen. I'm glad you raised the talent issue. In fact, many organizations, don't have enough people like both of you, right? Talent is an issue, right? And I guess, and the other thing which Dr. Asim raised was sometimes it's a waste of talent. Right? I mean, if you have cybersecurity experts just looking at data and trying to look at, some sort of anomaly, it's a waste, right? This is where I think organizations can leverage on the AI-enabled digital technologies not only for the business but also for enhancing their cybersecurity posture, right? And this is what we call. It's not about AI taking over the job of your jobs. It's actually leveraging on this collaborative intelligence where AI and technologies are actually augmenting, the capabilities of our cybersecurity teams. For example, you can use AI in the protection, detection, and response in a more wholesome assume breach strategy, for example, right? Or you can leverage on the foundations of the digital technologies to do things like zero trust strategies, micro segmentation, SIEM, and so on and so forth, right? So in closing, I just like to say that digital transformation really is not an option. We all have to rely on these democratized digital technologies that is enabled by the internet, right, to stay relevant and succeed in this new world. And it is for these reasons that the cybersecurity threats has become really a business issue. It's no longer an IT back office issue that CEOs don't care about, right? It's part and parcel of business. So as we embark on our digital transformation journey, make digital resilience part of that business strategy. That means addressing cyber threats as a business issue, right? It's incorporated in our business strategy. And this involves using the same digital technology platforms like, what we explained, this mashup of technologies enabled by AI to enhance the security posture, leveraging on modern approaches that we have listed just now. So with this, thank you very much, Dr. Karin. Thank you very much, Dr. Aswami. Really appreciate your contributions and have a good day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
organizers.